Hello students, welcome to your English class. Today we will do the chapter Albert Einstein at School. Now this chapter Albert Einstein at School gives us a vivid description of Albert Einstein's childhood when he used to be a student in a school. How was he as a student? We would come to know from this. Now you would be shocked to know that Albert Einstein was not a good student in his junior classes. He hated his school and he was often at row with his teachers. The teachers, except his maths teacher, all the teachers, if not hated, they were not at good terms with Einstein. Right? And Albert Einstein, he wanted to leave the school so much so that he arranged a false certificate which certified that he was suffering from nervous breakdown and was in need of a long-term rest from school. So this is how Albert Einstein was. Now let us start the chapter. In what year Einstein? So the chapter starts in the classroom. So as we see, the chapter opens in the classroom, where Albert Einstein is interrogated by his history teacher, Mr. Braun. Now, the question asked to him is, in what year Einstein, asked the history teacher, did the Prussians defeat the French at Waterloo? I don't know, sir. Albert Einstein gave a very open and frank answer that he has no answer to the question that when the Prussians defeated the French at Waterloo. Why don't you know? You have been told it often enough. Now the history teacher asked him in a very angry mood that why doesn't he know? It has already been explained to him. I must have forgotten. Again, in a very casual tone, he answers that he must have forgotten the date. Did you ever try to learn? So asked Mr. Braun. No, sir. Very frankly, he answers to Mr. Braun that he does not try to learn because he finds it is pointless to learn things or mug up the dates. Albert replied with his casual, unthinking honesty. Why not? I can't see any point in learning dates. One can always look them up in a book. Very true. There is no use of learning things from book. You have net and everything, so you can often surf the net and find out the dates. There is no need of learning things. You need to be clear about the concepts. You need to know the reason behind something. That is more important. The opinion, why people did this, what was the idea behind something. So Albert Einstein answered in that way. He says, I can't see any point in learning dates. One can always look them up in a book. Mr. Braun was speechless for a moment. Just imagine a teacher is being answered like this, that there is no need of learning dates because you can always find them up in your book. You amaze me, Einstein, he said at last. Don't you realize that one can always look most things up in the book? That applies to all the facts you learn at school. So he says that everything is found in book. So it applies that whatever you learn at school is there in the book. Yes, sir. Then I suppose you don't see any point in learning facts. Then he says that I believe that you don't find any, there is no point in learning facts. Again, Albert Einstein very frankly answered, frankly, sir, I don't, said Albert. Then you don't believe in education at all? Oh, yes, sir, I do. I don't think learning facts is education. Now he said that yes, he believes in the system of education, but he does not think that learning fact can be education. In that case, said the history teacher with heavy sarcasm, perhaps you will be kind as to tell the class the Einstein theory of education? Albert flushed. Now he very sarcastically says that then perhaps you would be kind enough to explain the class the Einstein's theory of education. Albert flushed. Flushed means he felt ashamed, that he felt shy. I think, but nevertheless, he described his opinion about education. I think it's not facts that matter, but ideas, he said. I don't see the point in learning the dates of battles or even which of the armies killed more men. I'd be more interested in learning why those soldiers were trying to kill each other. That's enough. Mr. Braun's eyes were cold and cruel. We don't want a lecture from you, Einstein. You will stay in for an extra period today. Although I don't imagine it will do you much good. It won't do the school any good either. You are a disgrace. I don't know why you continue to come to school. Now the teacher was very angry. So when he said that learning facts cannot be education, and he pointed out that learning the dates of matter or which armies killed how many soldiers, that is also not important. But what is important is trying to understand why were those soldiers trying to kill each other. What was the idea behind the war? When he said all these things, the history teacher became very angry and he punished him. He said that he has to sit for an extra class that day. And he even continued saying that he understands it very well that it is not going to do him any good. It is not going to change him at all. He will be all the same as he is now. But he also said that he is a constant disgrace and he should not come to school. Now Einstein crosses all limits when he says that it is not my wish, sir, Albert pointed out. He said, when the teacher said that you are a disgrace to school, why do you come to school? Albert Einstein openly says that it is not my wish to come to school. Right? Then you are an ungrateful boy and ought to be ashamed of yourself. I suggest you ask your father to take you away. He said that you are an ungrateful boy. You are not grateful that your father has sent you to school. Ask your father to get you back. To take you away from school. Albert felt miserable when he left school that afternoon. Not that it had been a bad day. Most days were bad now anyway. But because he had to go back to that hateful place the next morning. See how he describes school. He says the school is a hateful place. And it was a bad day not because things were not good for him. Because most of the days are bad days now. But he was feeling bad that again next morning he has to return to that bad place, hateful place. Now he knew that he only wished his father would take him away, but there was no point in even asking. He knew what the answer would be. He would have to stay until he had taken his diploma. Now he wished he could tell his father to take him away. But he knew that it would be pointless to tell him. It would all be in vain because the father is not going to take him away. He would tell him to complete his diploma and then only he is going to be taken away. Going back to his lodgings did not cheer him up. His father had so little money to spare that Albert had found a room in one of the poorest quarters of Munich. He did not mind the bad food, the lack of comfort, or even the dirt and squalor, but he hated the atmosphere of slum violence. His landlady beat her children regularly, and every Saturday her husband came drunk and beat her. Now, even getting back to his lodgings did not make him happy, did not cheer him. His father was poor and he could only afford a room in a slum. Now, Albert did not complain about the bad, dirty environment, good food, lack of comfort in the slum. But what he was worried about, what he did not like was the slum violence. Right? The landlady there used to beat her children every day. And on every Saturday, the husband would come drunken and would beat the landlady. So, he did not like this thing. But at least you have now here again we get a conversation with Albert Einstein and his only friend in the school who was Yuri. But at least you have a room of your own, which is more than I can say, said Yuri when he called round in the evening. At least you live amongst those. Yuri said at least you have your own room. Yuri used to live in the hostel. So Yuri used to think that Albert Einstein lived in a better place because he had a room of him for himself. Einstein says that at least you live among civilized human beings. On the contrary, Albert thinks that Yuri is luckier because he lives among the civilized people. So he says that at least you live among civilized human beings. Even if they all are poor students, said Albert, they are all civilized. Yuri replied, did you not hear that they are not all civilized? Now he said that, no, you are wrong. Yuri said that they might be medical students, but they are not at all civilized. All of them, at least all of them are not. Yuri replied, did you not hear that one of them was killed last week in a duel? It was a kind of fight that were undertaken by willing parties. Say, Two people were interested in fighting a duel, then they have to sign a contract. And even if a person is killed in duel, then nobody would be arrested. It was considered legal because you signed the contract and you wrote that if I am killed, nobody is to be held responsible. So police is not going to arrest the person who has killed the other person. Duel has now been stopped. It is not practiced now. Now he said that, did you not hear that one of them was killed last week in a duel? And what happens to the one who killed him? Now Albert asked, what happened to the person who killed him? Nothing, of course. He is even proud of it. His only worry is that the authorities have told him not to fight any more duels. He's upset about this because he hasn't a single scar on his face to wear for the rest of his life as a badge of honor. Now he says that nothing happened. The only trouble with him is that he's sad because the authorities, that is the police, have now asked him not to fight any more duel. Right? And he's more depressed because there is no mark on his face, which he can wear as a badge of honor, badge of respect. That, see, I have got this scar when I fought a duel and killed a person. He would say that proudly. So he would not be able to tell that to everyone. So that was a mark of honor. The scar mark on his face would serve as a badge of honor and also as a proof that he was able to kill another person. And he is so proud to tell it to everyone. So he says, Yuri says that this cannot be a mark of being civilized. Oh, exclaimed Albert, and these are students? Well, you'll be a student one day, said Yuri. Now, student means passing their diploma and studying in college. And Albert says that you call these people are students. They are so wild and so violent. Now, Yuri said one day you will also be student. I doubt it, said Albert glumly. Glumly means sadly. I don't think I'll ever pass the exam for the school diploma. He said that I won't be able to pass the exam for school diploma, so I can never be a student, so I won't be able to go to college. He told his cousin Elsa the same next time she came to Munich. Normally she lived in Berlin, and where her father had a business. Now Elsa was Einstein's cousin, right? Later in his life, Einstein would marry Elsa. Einstein had two marriages. His first marriage was unsuccessful, and later he married Elsa, who was a true friend of Einstein. He understood him. So when Elsa used to come to meet him at Munich, he would say the same thing to Elsa, that he's never going to pass. Normally she lived in Berlin, so Elsa lived in Berlin, but sometimes normally she lived in Berlin because her father had a business there in Berlin. I'm sure you could learn things enough to pass exams, Albert, if you tried, she said. I know a lot of boys who are much more stupid than you are who get through. They say you don't even have to know anything. You don't have to understand what you are taught. Just be able to repeat it in exam. Now, this is what is wrong in modern exam. Modern system of education. You mug up things. You learn things. You don't get into the depth of it. Now Elsa said that anyone can do it. Even the student who are stupid, more stupid than you, they can learn. Then why can't you? You don't need to understand anything. You don't need to know anything. Just repeat it again and again and again and again. You would be able to mug up and bring those things which you have mugged, write those things which you have mugged up in your examination sheet. That's it. That's the whole trouble, said Albert. Now, Albert was a man of intelligence. His system of learning would never match this system. He believed in understanding things. He believed in getting into depth of things. So, for him, this system of education was meaningless. That's the whole trouble, said Albert. I'm no good at learning things by heart. You don't need to be good at it. Anyone can learn like a parrot. You just don't try. So he said that no, you don't need to learn anything. Anyone can do it. You just need to learn like a parrot. And yet I always see, you just don't try. And yet I always see you with a book under your arm, added Elsa. What is it that you are reading? He said that I always see you with a book. What is it that you are learning? You seem to learn a lot of things. What is it that you learn? He asked him, what is it that you keep on reading? A book on geology. Geology? Rocks and things. Do you learn that? Now, earlier in those times, students, small kids, till 10, they didn't used to learn so much about geography. But Albert Einstein was more interested in scientific things because his mind bent upon scientific inventions. So he loved reading those things. Now, when he said that he reads book on geology, Elsa asked him whether he has those subjects in school. No, we have hardly any science at school. Then why are you studying it? Because I like it. Isn't that good enough reason? That he said that because I love reading science, and that is that. He's also said that that is a good reason. Elsa sighed. She became sad because Albert Einstein, just before sometimes, he said that he would not be able to pass because he cannot learn things. And he's, according to Elsa, Einstein was actually wasting his time because he was not doing anything which would make him pass. He was reading something apart from his school curriculum. You're right, of course, Albert, she said, but it won't help you with your diploma. He said that you're right, but it's not going to help you with your diploma. Apart from book on science, his only comfort was music, and he played his violin regularly until his landlady asked him to stop. That wailing gets on my nerves, she said. There's enough noise in this house with all the kids howling. Now she would say that there's enough of noise. I don't want noise. Whenever Albert Einstein would play on his violin, the landlady would say that it get on his nerves, and she says that there's enough of howling in the house and he does not want any more. Now, Albert was tempted to point out that most of the time it was she who made them howl, but he decided it was better to say nothing. I must get away from here, he told to Yuri. After 6 months alone in Munich, it is absurd that I should go on like this. In the end, it will turn out that I have been wasting my father's money and everyone's time. It will be better for all if I stop now. Now, Albert sometimes he was tempted to say that the children cry because of her, because it is she who keeps on beating the children of the house. But she decides not to say anything. Now, neither the school atmosphere nor his home cheers him up, and he is absolutely miserable at Munich. He wants to run away from there. He says that 6 months he has wasted in time, and at the end it would appear that no one has been benefited by the schooling of his. So he must stop it now. And then, what will you do? Asked Yuri. He asked. So once again, Yuri asks him what he is going to do if he leaves school. I don't know. If I go to Milan, I'm afraid my father will send me back. Unless, he says that he's scared if he gets back to his home, then his father is going to send him back to that place. Unless, now all of a sudden, he comes across a sudden idea. What is that? He wants to prove that he has a nervous breakdown, and so he must get back to his home. His eyes gleamed means shone with a sudden idea. What was the idea, Yuri? Do you know any friendly doctors? I know a lot of medical students, and some of them are friendly, said Yuri. Doctors? No. I've never had enough money to go to one. Why? I said that I know many doctors, but I don't know any. I know many students, but I don't know any doctor, because he says that he couldn't afford paying a visit to a doctor. Suppose, said Albert, that I had a nervous breakdown. Suppose a doctor would say it's bad for me to go to school and I need to get right away from it. Now he said, suppose a doctor certifies that school is a bad place for me and I need to get away from it right now. I can't imagine a doctor saying that, said Yuri. I must try, said Albert, to find a doctor who specializes in nerves. Now he said that no doctor, I don't think any doctor will say that. Now Albert says that he must find out a doctor who is a specialist in nerves. That is some kind of neurotic problem. There are plenty of them, Yuri told him. He hesitated for a moment and then added, rather reluctantly. Means he was not willing to say, but yet he said. He said that there are plenty of doctors. And then he said reluctantly, I'll ask some of the students if they know one, if you like. Will you? Oh, thank you, Yuri. Albert's eyes were shining. Wait a moment. I haven't found one yet. Now he says that, oh, thank you so much. Would you really find a doctor for me? Now Yuri said that, no, don't thank me so early, because yet now I have not been able to find out a doctor for you. Oh, but you will. And if I do, I don't know if he'll be willing to help you. Said that, well, yes, I definitely would find out a doctor, but I don't know even if I find out a doctor, that doctor would be ready to help you or not. I'm going to have a real nervous breakdown to make it easier for him. He laughed merrily. He laughed and said that, okay, I'm going to have a real nervous breakdown. That will make his job easy. I've never seen you looking less nervous, remarked Yuri. Now he said that it was the only time he finds him to be less nervous. Otherwise, he's always in a bad and frustrated mood. He's always nervous. He's depressed. He says that this time he laughed so jovially. Yuri said that it seems that he is in a very happy mood now. I've never seen you look less nervous, remarked Yuri. A day or two at school will soon put that right. Now, Albert said that, let me go to school 1 or 2 times, and then once again you will see me in a nervous mood. Albert assured him. Certainly, he had lost his high spirits when Yuri saw him next. And it was very true. When Yuri saw him next, once again he was in a bad mood. He had lost his high spirit. I can't stand it longer, he said. I really shall have a nervous breakdown if that will satisfy me, doctor. Said that, no, I can't bear it. It's beyond my tolerance. It's beyond my endurance. If a nervous breakdown is going to satisfy a doctor and he's going to write a certificate, then I'm going to have a real nervous breakdown now. Keep it up then, said Yuri. I've found a doctor for you. You have? Albert's face lit up. Oh, good. When can I see him? I have an appointment for you for tomorrow evening, Yuri said. Here's the address. So Yuri has already fixed the appointment, and he said that on the next day, he has an appointment. He handed Albert a piece of paper. Dr. Ernst Weil. Is he a specialist in nervous troubles? Asked Albert. Now he said that, okay, Dr. Ernst Weil, is he a specialist in nervous troubles? No, not exactly, Yuri admitted. As a matter of fact, he only qualified as a doctor last week. You may even be his first patient. Now he said that he has qualified as a doctor in the last week. So maybe you would be his first patient. You knew him as a student then? Then he said that then it is very probable that you knew him as a student. I have known Ernst for years. Yuri hesitated for a few moments. He's not a fool. Yeah, warned Albert. He said that, see, he's not a fool. So don't try to befool him. Tell him what the truth is. He'll definitely help you out. What do you mean? Don't try to pull the wool over his eyes. Don't try to befool him. That's all. Be frank with him. But do not pretend you have got what you haven't. So don't pretend to have nervous breakdown, because in reality you don't have any such thing. He'll be able to see through your tricks. So it's better that you tell him your problems very frankly. Not that you would deceive anyone, Yuri added. You are the world's worst liar. So he said that you are the world's worst liar. You can't lie. We have seen this in the very first part of the chapter, where he told whatever was there in his heart. So he said that you can't lie. So everyone is going to understand that you are lying. So don't try to fool him. Tell him the truth. Albert spent the next day wondering what to tell the doctor. When the time arrived for his appointment, he had worried over it so much that he really was quite nervous. I don't really know how to describe my trouble, Dr. Weil, he began. Now he said that I am not sure how to describe my trouble, how to say it. Now he was really nervous. He was tensed, thinking how to explain his problem to the doctor. Don't try, said the young doctor with a friendly smile. Yuri has already given me a history of the case. Now he said, you don't have to try. Yuri have already told me everything about you. Oh, what did he say? Only that you want me to think that you have a nervous breakdown and say that you must not go to that school. Oh dear, Albert's face fell. He shouldn't have told you that. Now Albert thought that the doctor knows the reality now, so he won't be telling it. So he said, no, he shouldn't have told this to you. Why not? Isn't it true then? I said, why not? Then isn't it true? Yes, that's the trouble. Now you will say there's nothing wrong with me, and you will tell me to go back to the school. Now he said that now you will say there's nothing wrong with me and I must go to school. You will insist upon making me go to school. You won't write the certificate for me. Don't be too sure of that, said the doctor. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that you are in a nervous state about that school. But I haven't told you anything about it, said Albert, wide-eyed. How can you know that? Now I said that don't be so sure. I can see very clearly that you are quite nervous about going to school. Albert says that I haven't told you. How do you know that? Because you wouldn't have come to see me about this if you hadn't been pretty close to nervous breakdown. That's why. Now, said the doctor briskly, if I certify that you have had a nervous breakdown and must stay away from school for a while, will it do? What will you do? I'll go to Italy, said Albert, to Milan, where my parents are. Now, he said, the doctor asked him that if I certify that, okay, you are not fine and you must take rest, you must be away from school for a while, will that be fine? Now he asks, what is he going to do after that? Even if he certifies that he is not fine and he must be away from school, what is he going to do? He said that he is going to return to his parents in Milan, where his parents are staying. And what will you do there? I'll try to get into an Italian college or institute. How can you without a diploma? I'll ask my mathematics teacher to give me something about my work, and perhaps that will be enough. I have learned all the maths they teach at school and a bit more, he added when Dr. Wheel looked doubtful. Now he said that I have learned all the mathematics that is taught in the school, and perhaps I have learned more than that. But Dr. Wheel was quite doubtful. He was thinking, he was trying to comprehend that a student who wants to leave school, who has a nervous breakdown, how is it possible that he has learned everything in maths? Well, it's up to you, he said. I doubt if it will come off. But I can see you are not doing yourself or anyone else much good by staying here. How long would you like me to say that you should stay away from school? Would 6 months be all right? Now, he said, I'm quite doubtful about what you were saying. But it's very clear that neither you nor anyone else is benefiting from this stay at school. So it's better that you go. Now, he also asked how long does he want to specify the duration for which he would be away from school. When he says that will 6 months be fine. That is very kind of you. It's nothing. I've just stopped being a student myself. So I know how you feel. He says that I understand. It's very painful to be a student. You have to be away from your family and home. I understand that. Here you are. Dr. Wheel handed him a certificate. And the best of luck. How much? I said, what would be his fees? Nothing. If you have anything to spare, invite Yuri to a meal. He's a good friend of mine and yours too, I think. Now he asks how much fees does he need to pay. He says that nothing, and he also says that if he really wants to spend anything, then he must take Yuri to a meal, because Yuri is a good friend of both of them. Albert had no money to spare, but he pretended he had and took Yuri out to supper. Now Albert had no money, but he pretended to have some money and took out Yuri for a supper. Isn't it wonderful? He said after showing Yuri the certificate. Yes, it's fine. Yuri agreed. 6 months is a good period. This way you won't actually be leaving the school. So if the worst comes to the worst, you will be able to come back and carry on your diploma. Now Yuri said that it's very nice. In this way he won't be leaving the school. So even if the worst come, then he would have chance to get back to his school and continue his diploma. I'll never go back to that place, Yuri assured him. I'm going to take the certificate to the head teacher tomorrow, and that will be the end of it. Now, I said that no, I'm not going to come back to the school. I'm going to take this to the head teacher and I'll end everything here. Don't forget to get a reference in writing from your mathematics teacher first, you reminded him. Mr. Coach willingly gave Albert the reference he wanted. Now, Mr. Coach is the maths teacher, so he gave him the reference that he is a very good student and he have learned all that can be taught in the school. If I say now, Mr. Coach was very proud of Yuri. Very proud of Albert. Albert was very good in maths. So Mr. Coach says, if I say, I can't teach you anymore and probably you will soon be able to teach me, will that be all right? He asked. Now he said that if I say that you have learned everything in school, whatever I have given it to you, and probably within few days you would be able to teach me. Now just imagine a teacher saying this to a student, how confident he is about his student's worth. Right? He said, will that be fine? It's the only truth, but all right, I'll put it more seriously. It was still a glowing reference, and Mr. Coach made the point that Albert was ready immediately to enter a college or institute for the study of higher mathematics. Now, he made it very clear that Albert was perfectly okay, and at any point of time, he might get admission into a higher institute for mathematics. I'm sorry you were leaving us, although you were wasting your time in my class. He said that. I'm sorry. He felt bad, and he said that you were just wasting your time because you had learned all that can be that is there in the curriculum of school. Now Albert says that it's almost the only class where I'm not wasting my time, said Albert. Now he said that it was the only class where he was not actually wasting his time. He was learning something. But how did you know I'm leaving, sir? You wouldn't have asked me for this reference otherwise. Now he said that, how do you know that I'm leaving? Now he said that you are asking for this reference, and it is quite evident that you are leaving us. I thought you would wonder. There's nothing to wonder about, Einstein. I knew you were going to leave before you knew yourself. Now, Mr. Coach said that I know that you are going to leave because it has already been decided by the management of the school that they are going to expel Albert. And Mr. Coach knows it very well, right? But he does not tell this to Albert. Albert was puzzled. What did the teacher mean? He soon found out. Before he had a chance to ask for an interview with the head teacher, he was summoned. Someone means to call to the head's room. Well, it saves me the trouble of having to wait an hour or two outside, he thought. Now, before he asked for the permission to meet the head teacher, he was summoned by the head teacher. And he was very happy because he says that it saved his time. He hardly bothered to wonder why he had been sent for, but vaguely supposed he was to be punished again for bad work and laziness. Well, he had finished with punishment. Now he said he didn't wonder why he was called, but he thought that perhaps again he's going to be given some kind of punishment and this and that. Now he was happy. No one can give him any punishment now because he was leaving his school. I'm not going to punish you, the head teacher said, to Albert's surprise. Your work is terrible, and I'm not prepared to have you here any longer. Einstein, I want you to leave the school now. Leave school now? Repeated Albert, dazed. He was dazed. He worked so hard to get that certificate, and that was useless now. He said that you want me to leave the school. That is what I said. You mean, said Albert, I'm to be expelled? You can take it that way if you wish, Einstein. The head teacher was not mincing words. He was not just playing with his word. He was very serious about what he was saying. The simplest thing will be for you to go of your own accord, and then the question won't arise. Accord means your own desire. So if you want, you may leave the school of your own desire. Then we would not expel you. So that would save your reputation. But, said Albert, what crime have I committed? Now he's asked, what have I committed? What have I done? Why am I to be expelled from the school? Your presence in the classroom makes it impossible for the teachers to teach and for the other pupils to learn. So you are a constant disturbance to the class for both the teachers and the students. You refuse to learn. You are in constant rebellion, and no serious work can be done while you are there. Albert felt the medical certificate almost burning a hole in his pocket because it was useless. So he felt that it was as if it was burning a hole in his pocket. I was going to leave anyway, he said. That I was unhappy with this school, so I was going to leave the school anyway. Then we are in agreement at least, Einstein, the head said. Then he said that fine, then we are in agreement. You also want to leave, we also want you to be expelled. For a moment, Albert was tempted to tell the man what he thought of him and of his school. Then he stopped himself. Without another word, holding his head out, he stalked out. He wanted to say what was his thought about school and about the principal. But he somehow resisted himself. He stopped himself and boldly walked out of the principal's room. Shut the door after you, shouted the head. Albert ignored him. The principal said that shut the door after you, but he ignored. He didn't do anything. He just walked out. He walked straight on out of the school where he had spent 5 miserable years. He said that 5 bad years he had spent here. So he was very happy to leave it now. So he left the school without turning his head to give it a last look. He could not think of anyone he wanted to say goodbye to. Now, he did not know anyone whom he would be saying goodbye. So he did not even look at it. Take a last look at it. Just imagine, he was so disappointed with the school that even after spending 5 years, he had formed no attachment with the institution. Indeed, Yuri was almost the only person in Munich he felt like seeing before he left the town. He had come to hate almost as much as the school. So, he had started hating the school and the town equally, and the only person whom he wanted to say goodbye was Yuri. Elsa was back in Berlin and he had no other real friends. By that time, Elsa was also back and really he had no other good friend. Goodbye and good luck, said Yuri when he left. You are going to a wonderful country, I think. I hope you will be happier there. Now, Yuri bid him goodbye and said that you are going to a wonderful country, and he also wishes him good luck. So, the chapter ends here. And it gives us a very contradictory picture of Albert Einstein as a student. We had always been thinking that Albert Einstein was a very good student and he knows everything, and he was a man of such a great intellect. But see, even men of such great intellect may be a nuisance to school. So their way of life was not a very normal one. They had a different way of walking, which is not appreciated or not understood by common mass of people. So that is what is pointed out in this story. Albert Einstein, who was a scientific genius, was marked as an extremely poor student. Such a poor student that he had to be expelled from school. That's it for today. Hope you understood the chapter. Thanks for attending the class. Goodbye.